Hey there, virtual world. This is Mr. Bayaka, one of the counselors at Day Middle School. I cover caseloads, last names A through LI.
And I'm Jennifer Krummeyer, and I have the second half of the alphabet, so I'm LJ through Z.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mr. Acosta. I'm one of the other counselors as well, and I get to work with students from the whole alphabet. And I know that might be a little bit confusing. So if you take a look on Infinite Campus at the top of the portal, you should see who your student's assigned counselor is.
And so we just actually want to welcome everyone. This will be a video for not only our staff, but pretty much our Defender community. And it's kind of a recap of what we've done these past couple weeks within our social studies classes. And we're going to talk about several different things, but we're looking forward to supporting your kids through this online process. And this is one of the many ways that we're attempting to do so.
All right, so we have three main things that we wanted to cover during our lesson today. And the first objective was to get to know who the counselors are, and more importantly, just to know all the different ways that you can get in contact with us. There's a few different ways, and Mr. Baraka will be sharing those in a second. Okay. Objective number two was going to be to talk about a few simple strategies to help you be successful or even more successful in this online learning setup. These could be things that you're already possibly doing, or maybe just things that you might want to do a little bit more consistently. And then number three, we're going to be talking about different ways that we can positively manage stress. And so we do understand these are some challenging times for all of us, adults and kids alike. And so we wanted to focus on some ways that we can reduce stress and really focus actually on ways that we can do this away from screens. So we understand there's a lot of screen time involved with online learning. So we're going to really try to focus on the things that do not involve more screen time.
So first things first is, utilizing the resources for students. And I know we'll kind of be switching back and forth because our audience is a lot more diverse in terms of speaking with staff, parents, and students. But we want to make sure that all students have the resource to get a hold of us. Typically in our school setting, on site, we would be seeing students all the time. And for so long, we've attempted to go ahead and create such like an open door policy for students. Whenever it was passing period, whenever it was break or lunch, we wanted to see students and have them at any whim to go ahead and stop by and get support, whether it be saying what's up to us and saying hi, getting to see our faces, or just ask us a simple question. We always had students coming in just saying, hey, Mr. Bayak, I got a quick question. I needed a little help in my language arts class. I'm wondering if I could bounce off an idea with you, or I'm having trouble with another student. Would you mind just listening to me? Or maybe we can brainstorm some solutions, or even if it was with high school or planning for career or college, we wanted students to go ahead and be able to talk to us about those ideas, and so we could plan together. So obviously in the online setting, it's been challenging, but we've been able to recreate this in what we call our counselors Canvas classroom, and utilizing a virtual open office hour. And we've done through using our Zoom accounts, and pretty much students, all our students have been invited to our Canvas classroom and have accepted or should accept our Canvas classroom as an invite to gain all these resources. And the first icon in the middle is being able to access our office hours. So you'll see there on the right side of the slide, it says Counselor Zoom office hours. All students got to do is click on there, and it'll bring you to our list of office hours. Between the three of us, we have office hours sprinkled throughout the week, different times. Preferably we'd love to talk to our students within our caseload. However, we know that sometimes students just can't catch us at the right time. So they're more than welcome to go ahead and catch any three of us if they can. And it similarly works as it would our teachers' Zoom accounts. They go into this digital breakout room, and then we'll wait to accept them. And if they're waiting for a little bit and we're not picking up for them to come in our Zoom chat room or virtual room, there's always the second option, and that's the second bullet point right there. They can schedule an appointment with us, and we would more than happy talk to them about whatever issue is going on. They just fill out the digital form, and it goes to us, and then we'll be able to collaborate with them via email or whatever communication tool. The last one on there is our email, and that's pretty much been the most successful in terms of going back with parents, staff, and students as well. They're becoming more accustomed to checking email, and that's a tool that we'll be using. But as many teachers and you parents as well, you're probably noticing this, is like your email inbox is starting to build up, just like ours. And so we're just trying to create systems in place for them to be able to reach us a lot quicker. So the first two options are probably the best ways, but email, definitely you can reach us. As far as other resources on our Canvas website, we have tons of tools. We know that students are getting overwhelmed. We have a calming room with stress management tools, like listening to serene music, some drawing tools, digital spectrographs for them to go ahead and just doodle. We also have college and career search tools and tons of stuff on there. Encourage your students to go ahead and accept our Canvas classroom, and then that way they can utilize all these tools on there.
Just to add to that, we are looking forward to seeing our students during our office hours. So kind of think of it as if we open up the Zoom, we're working on a different tab, and as soon as we hear the ding, someone's in our waiting room, we kind of open the door and welcome them in to chat with us. So we enjoy that interaction time that we've missed. So we have 3 simple online strategies that we believe will make students more successful. And the first one is to be present. So this week, last 2 weeks that we've been meeting with students, I was extremely impressed with how many kids were showing up to their Zoom meetings. And it was really nice seeing all their names on there. So I know they're doing a good job, a lot of them, at being in attendance. And being in attendance is extremely important because we learn much easier with an instructor teaching us. They can add stories and influx. And so being in attendance is really important. Being on time so you don't miss anything and kind of like feel behind is important. But when I say be present, I mean be in the moment. Like, I am here focused. I'm only focused on this classroom at hand. And so when you know that you are present, make sure that you're removing distractions. So phones get very distracting, especially with notifications and dings, and they light up. So make sure you just mute them and put them a little further away from you to avoid distractions. As if you were in the classroom, you're going to sit up nice and straight and you're going to pay attention to the speaker. The biggest strategy that I feel that will help is turning your camera on, and it's for several different reasons. So when you turn your camera on, somebody sees you. And so you're more likely to sit up, you're more likely to be engaged because there's the accountability there. And good pressure is not a bad thing. It just means that there's some accountability, someone's watching me, I need to make sure I'm focused. And so that in itself is a big win. But also it's a win for student and teacher, because if you know that 70% of our communication's body language, teachers are missing the body language when your screen is off. So if a teacher is explaining a lesson, let's say it's math, and they see people on the screen, the cameras are on, and the kids are like nodding their head, they're doing their work, then the teacher's confident that kids understand the material and they'll move on. But if they see students who are unconsciously saying no or getting frustrated, then they know they need to circle back and reteach or explain. So it helps the teacher be able to read their audience on what the need is. And third, in this time where we don't have a lot of interaction with other humans, we can feel pretty isolated. And the more isolated you feel, it kind of just drops you down with like sadness and getting bummed and missing things and frustration. So when you turn your camera on, and if others turn their camera on, then you see your fellow peers, and their faces are there, they're in the same situation, and you feel part of a community. And so we know we're all in this together. So simply by seeing other people or hearing them laugh and seeing their faces smile, you're going to feel better emotionally and socially. So keeping your camera on, I think, has a lot of benefits. The last thing with being present is be present throughout the whole time period. Our district did a good job at setting up the synchronous teaching, the asynchronous time that you're working, and then intervention. Stay on the meeting the whole time. Learn from the teacher. Then when it comes to asynchronous, turn off your cameras. And I know that cameras can't be on all the time. There might be distractions in the background, or you might just be having a funk day and you really don't want to be on the camera. So not all the time, but during the asynchronous time, definitely turn off your camera, relax a bit, drink some water, open up a new tab, start your lesson, whatever you're supposed to be doing. But if you have a question, you know that you're still present in that class. As if you're raising your hand or going up to your teacher's desk, you're able to type in the chat, hey, re-explain number 4. I don't know what page to go to. And the teacher can share it with the whole class because maybe the teacher forgot to give that part of the instruction. And so you're helping them out as much as helping out the whole class. But simply being present the whole time is going to give you the opportunity to have that interaction with the teacher much easier, and them to interact with you simply by being there.
I appreciate Mrs. Crew sharing that because as simple as it sounds, just being present is so important. And so as we're running through these tips, I know they kind of seem elementary to some degree because it's like, well, of course, you got to be there. But it's not only being there, it's kind of the energy that you focus. And, you know, as a parent, we want parents to understand these are kind of the things that you want to go ahead and continue to monitor. The tip that I wanted to go ahead and offer is asking questions. And again, a simple concept, but yet very important in the sense of, particularly for our 6th graders as they're transitioning from 5th to 6th, as well as all the way through 8th grade, and our 8th graders as they prepare for high school, you know, asking questions. One thing that we brought up in our presentations, and for parents and staff and faculty alike, taking an online class is difficult, whether you're an adult or a student. So just granted the circumstances, I know it's a tough situation for our kids, but it's definitely tough on our students. If you are one of those individuals who have taken an online class, asking questions, you understand that importance. And it's not about just asking questions as well. It's about how and when you ask those questions. So you'll notice the first bullet point, it says during class meetings or outside of class. And what I want to go ahead and focus or emphasize on is that technology is so awesome in the sense of this time, because students and ourselves, we can go ahead and send an email to a teacher at any whim. Like we think of something and that's easy. It's like, oh man, I got a question for Mr. Lavin, or I've got a question for Mrs. Carney. I can immediately grab my smart device, send it. But just as important as that convenience is, we have to understand that we need to utilize that structured time that Mrs. Crew was talking about to ask questions. And there's 2 reasons why. And we kind of emphasize this in class as well. One of the reasons why is learning takes place as soon as we have those questions answered. So we can start having that dialogue with teachers. So during class time, and we know it's tough, even in particular our shyer or more intimidated kids, encourage them to ask questions during that structured time. So that way they can have that learning begin at that time. Because if they don't, then what ends up happening is that learning takes place later. And so even though it's okay to send those emails, as we're kind of recapping again, our email inboxes are increasing, even as parents and staff people. And that becomes a longer timeline for students to have those questions answered. So our teachers are doing their best to go ahead and get through all of those. But if a teacher has about 30 students in a class, and every one of those students asks just one simple question, that's already 30 emails that the teachers got to check, times 5, which would be the 5 classrooms. So you're already looking at 150 emails for the day on a simple question. So encourage them to go ahead and ask those questions immediately so that learning happens right away. The second part to this answer is, decreasing anxiety and stress. Now, we're listening to parents and we're listening to our students. And the common conversation that we're having is, you know what, my son or daughter is spending a significant amount of time after school going ahead and working. And a part of this challenge is that timeline of getting those questions answered. And so, again, when a student has questions, encourage them to ask during that time, because that will allow them to process that information and actually decrease that stress. Asking questions is a stressful time for any young individual. So that is, hands down, that anxiety is going to be there. However, if they wait to ask that question later, what they're actually doing is they're increasing their anxiety. So they're extending it beyond the classroom time. Now, if they're having multiple classes where they're doing this, what they're doing is they're extending that anxiety till that question is answered. So if there's anything that can troubleshoot that, it would be asking that question earlier. So utilizing that intervention time, using that time appropriately, using that time wisely and not focusing on other things. And then also what Mrs. Crew suggested, using that asynchronous time to go ahead and, hey, I'm working, the teacher's readily available to go ahead and answer my questions. Go ahead and make sure your students utilize that time wisely.
Even if it's in the chat, they can ask questions and we'll get right back to them. So that's intimidating.
Yeah. Chat is way better than email. So if you can do that.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Baca. These are definitely stressful times that we are living in, for students, for adults, right? For the teachers, for you parents. Yeah, these are definitely not, ordinary times. And so the third tip that we shared with our students was to try their best to be able to push through the challenges that they're currently facing. And we had two kind of main ideas regarding pushing through challenges. And the first idea that we really shared with the students was trying to really develop perseverance. And, I tried to make a point to let the students or remind the students that they all have it in them. And I gave them a few different examples of when they've possibly shown perseverance, even if they didn't even know what the word meant, right? And so whether they, if you've ever tried to learn a new music instrument, or possibly, a new trick on your skateboard, or if you've ever had to come back, if you're on a sports team, I tried to give the students examples that they might have, personally experienced to show that, that they're capable of showing perseverance and not giving up and really pushing through whatever challenges that they were dealing with. And really the key that we tried to express was to be able to show this same level of effort and energy and motivation in the non-preferred activities. So it's easy to, try your best in things that you're really into, but it's being able to persevere and not give up, in the less, things that they're maybe less motivated to do, which, for some students could include some of their courses. And so, we talked a little bit more also about this being a life skill. So this is something that's going to help them not only, in middle school and, and beyond as they continue in their school, but it's something that, that is going to be helpful for them throughout life, because, as you all can attest to, adults have challenges. They don't just disappear once we're done with school, right? And so, this was something that we were really, passionate about and really trying to help students, continue to develop. And so we also talked a little bit about growth mindset, which is a similar concept. If you're not familiar with the term, basically it's, trying to see the, the positives in whatever situation you might find yourself in. It's really being able to see challenges as an opportunity to grow as an individual. And it's really just kind of changing your mindset on the way that you kind of see things. If you see in the middle of the screen there, it's basically changing your thinking from, I can't do this, this is too hard, to, I can do it, right? Another way of looking at it would be, I can't do this, there's no way that I can get this done, to changing very slightly, just adding one little word at the end and changing it to, I can't do it yet, right? So we talked about the power of yet being huge. There's a few just different examples that we can give related specifically to some of our classes, but the idea being, changing your thinking from, I can't do this, right, to, I know I can't do it quite yet. However, I know it's going to be hard, but if I am able to maybe talk to a friend that can help me out, if I can email my teacher and get a little bit of clarification, if I can maybe just give myself a little breather. Sometimes we just need a little bit of a break, give ourselves a chance to kind of regroup and refocus, then come back in and tackle whatever the situation is. We're going to probably have a lot more success, right? And so it's really all about, not giving up and continuing to tell yourself that you can do it. Another example that we shared during the lesson was, specifically related to class, was just not giving up even if they've done poorly on a test. And for those of us that have failed a test before, it doesn't feel good. However, if we're able to use that growth mindset, we can maybe tell ourselves, and this is what we were telling the students, to remind themselves that a lot of the teachers do offer test corrections. So even though they failed the test, it would be easy to walk away and say, well, there's nothing I can do about it. However, if they're using that growth mindset, they could study a little bit more and then retake the test, and obviously, try to get a better grade, which will have an overall positive impact on their assignments. And another thing that, we talked about was, this whole idea of perseverance and growth mindset. A lot of our students, already display it, but for those that maybe it's more of a new thing, maybe it's a little foreign to them, we explain that it's the more that you do it, the easier it's going to become. Just like with anything in life, if you practice it and continue to do it consistently, it's going to become more natural feeling, and it's going to be a lot easier as as they continue to deal with challenges throughout their lives. So.
And we did want to challenge the kids to say yet at the end of statements if they knew they needed to change it from a negative to a positive, and then figuring out strategies on how to accomplish it.
Right. What's interesting about that whole concept is how easy it is. And even during these challenging times, I mean, where we're all now connected with this universal challenge or this global challenge of being quarantined, COVID, being at home, just whatever the circumstances are, being able to focus. And the other aspect of thinking about it is focusing on the things that you can control on. So again, students can definitely benefit from it. Our adults, I know staff and teachers, as well as our parents, can definitely benefit from it. And so what you're looking at on our screen is actually this development of a skill. And we actually kind of tricked consciously some of our students at school. We did a little sample size within our language arts classes, and we asked a number of students, I think about 300 and so students replied. And we asked them, during this challenging time, what have you gained? What is one fun thing that you did during the pandemic summer? And what you're looking at is very real responses from our population on campus. And these are all kid responses of something that they've gained, whether it be, if you see from top to bottom, kids were able to learn how to skateboard, watch TV with their family. Some people learn different skills like building. Some people build tree houses. Some people started painting, cooking, building Legos. Right smack in the middle, you see, spend a lot of time virtually. I know myself, a huge gain on my part, even during some of these difficult times, was being able to communicate with family members from another state, from another country, out in the Philippines. You know what? During this time of turmoil, there's still positive stuff to look at. And these are definitely gains within my skill and wheelhouse that I've gathered within this challenging time.
So Mr. Baca, can we do a couple examples? So I'm going to open it up. So what was fun is, as they chatted in the side, we noticed that a lot of them are learning new languages, and some of them are pretty unique languages. So I know it was Japanese, I know definitely Spanish. They were learning an instrument, so the guitar was there. Tricks on their skateboard, or extra downtime with family because we get so busy.
Saw a lot of cooking and baking, right?
Yeah, like long-term skills. And then for me, like as I'm talking to adults, like I'm having to learn to be more organized in all my documents, because being virtual, I don't have folders everywhere with everything. So I had to be more organized. So that's something I'm gaining. So we did a 1-minute breathing exercise with our students, and I think we're going to have you guys do it too, because I think all of us have to have some extra skills. So fortunately for us, last year we had a yoga instructor come in the PE classes, and she taught the starfish. We all experience anxiety, whether it be talking to a group of people. For students, it might be taking a test. For adults, it might be taking a test. Sometimes presenting in front of a huge audience and recording. I had to breathe a little bit before I started, but we really need to remind our body sometimes that we're okay. So when you start feeling your breathing getting tighter, or your hands are getting sweaty, knees are shaky, whatever it is that your body's communicating that you're experiencing some anxiety or stress or sadness, instead of letting it continue, where then it affects your brain, where we get all those just words and thoughts piling through our head uncontrollably, or it goes completely blank. We need to remind our body that we're okay, so that it can continue to breathe and get oxygen to our head and avoid the whole fight or flight scenario. So the starfish is pretty simplistic. Your starfish is your hand. You have your 5 fingers are the starfish. And we like this one because it's very visual, and you can take your starfish anywhere with you. So we're going to do a 1-minute exercise. If you're in a hurry, you can skip this part. But if anyone would like to breathe calmly, you can do it along with me. So the trick with breathing, and there is tons of different techniques. We have some on our Canvas page, so there's a variety. But you basically are going to breathe in nice and slow. You're going to fill in your abdomen. Make sure you're breathing in through your nose. Make it calm. Don't ever feel like you're straining for a breath. So calm that it's just it's relaxing, not straining. So as you travel up the thumb, from the base of the thumb, you're going to breathe in through your nose nice and calmly as you inhale through your nose. And as you reach the top, you're going to hold your breath. As you go down the thumb, you're going to breathe out through your mouth, nice and calm, slowly, so you don't strain. And then you're going to pause and hold your breath. You start traveling up your finger. You're going to take your breath in slowly through your nose, seeing your chest and your abdomen fill. Then pause, hold your breath. Breathe out through your mouth, nice and slow. Hold your breath. Breathe in. Starting to feel your body relaxing. Hold it. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. So 1 minute, a lot of times, is all it takes to kind of slow our body down and calm it. For more stressful situations, you might need 2 starfish. You can do the starfish in your mind and kind of just, the trick is to make sure that the breathing is really slow and methodical and calming, and then holding your breath for a bit. There are several different types of techniques, but if you ever see your student or your child really stressed, maybe remind them, hey, maybe you should try a starfish and see if that can calm you down.
Yeah, and another good time to possibly do this, these deep breathing exercises. I know for me, it helps if I'm having trouble falling asleep. I'm able to, just kind of concentrate on my breathing and just try to clear my brain of all the thoughts that are jumping in and out of there just by using these deep breathing techniques. So definitely a lot of different settings that you can use this strategy.
Speaking of sleeping, hopefully no one's sleeping right now. I'm extra relaxed. But you know what? We know that students get stressed out, and we want to be able to handle those pieces of stress with tools that they may have already. And so Mrs. Crew actually used this, adding those tools in their toolkit per se. And so here's some things that they might already be doing to handle stress. But the key within this slide is actually focusing on the area that says not using technology. So if you're anything like myself, which I'm getting better at, even doing these presentations, or you have a smart device and you use this as your visual pacifier throughout the day. And so that is something that we're trying to have ourselves as well as our students realize, hey, you can't be looking at that screen time. There is a real thing called digital or screen fatigue. Screen fatigue. And you'll notice, and you've already probably observing, like at the end of school days, your kids are like saying, you know what, I got to take a nap, or they're already knocked out because they've been looking at the screen all day. I know that it's happened to me.
Not just the kids, Rodney.
So being able to use these stress relieving tools without their technology, I know some of them might say like, hey, no, this is keeping me calm. But again, the emphasis would be just, getting them away from the technology, and that'll help them significantly with handling stress. Primarily, you'll notice a bunch of the bullet points, but on the first half, you notice like areas of just exercise, getting their blood pumping, riding a bike, skateboarding. Our pets, probably, I have a fish, so I can take my fish out for a walk. So many of you guys have cats that you walk with, or your dogs that you're taking out for a walk. Enjoy them. If you're able to go outside or even in the backyard, get that blood moving, because that blood gets this positive chemical in your body called endorphins to send throughout the rest of your body some positive vibes and make you feel a little bit better. And that gets your energy going. And so your body gets a little bit more relaxed. So definitely.
We had some great suggestions like swimming and trampoline and skateboard tricks. And when they had horseback riding, I was envious of that one. But anything to get your blood flowing is going to help kind of get all the kinks out and get you away from that screen fatigue and regenerate some for yourself.
I couldn't agree more. I'm a huge proponent of, staying active, and especially in this setting where we're stuck inside a lot of the day. The students aren't necessarily going out to lunch and running around like they normally would. So, if you can find time after the school day is over to get out and get that blood flowing, and sometimes maybe even just take a little break during during our actual lunchtime, get the kids out. I think that's helpful.
And quick plug, by the way, every Tuesday and Thursday, we also have an opportunity for students to dialogue in our lunchtime hangout. So I had to plug that in. Sorry, Mr. Costa.
Thank you.
Technology based, but it's good for socialization. Some kids are, feeling a little lonely, so they can come hang out with us at lunchtime, and then they can do their athletic things after school.
Right. And I will say that, for me personally, just after we're done with, with work for the day, and my own personal children are done with school, one of the highlights usually is going outside and shooting hoops with my son. And so, just getting out there and being active with them is good for him as well as myself. And so we do understand, though, however, there could be times where maybe you don't necessarily have the environment to be able to, let your kids run wild outside. And so we did want to also focus on a few different things that are more related to, kind of getting those creative juices flowing in our kids. And so I know a lot of our kids have amazing artistic abilities and talents. And so if you can get them drawing, sketching, I know in the past, some of our students have brought in their sketchbooks and they've shown them to us in the office, and really doing some really amazing things. Some of them are painters. Ms. Krumeier is a little bit of a painter herself, who paints these really cool designs with acrylic paint on these rocks. So once school reopens, if you can, if you pop in the office, you'll see some of her artwork. Some students enjoy journaling, right? They have a lot of creative writing ideas, and so whether it's writing, creative writing, or poetry, or some kids like writing music, writing lyrics and stuff. All of that, if they put it in a book, I think that is a really great way to be able to express themselves, and also doing so while not in front of a screen. And so the kids did really come up with a lot of great ideas as well when we put it out in the chat. So
yeah, creating music. I think we have some
Listening to music.
right.
a lot of ukulele and guitar players probably now. Hopefully it's not causing too much pain in the household, folks, as they're going through growth mindset and perseverance in the house. But no, we just want to say thank you for your time. We definitely miss your kids, and I think this was the most positive part about our presentations. We actually were able to see faces. So hopefully this has created some skills within your family. They've learned some different things, maybe a different dialogue now that you can have with your family about being more preventative, being more supportive, and maybe even monitoring a little bit easier ways that they can be successful online.
And if you could do each other a favor, and I'm talking staff, parents, and even students with your peers, remind them when they hit challenges, the power of yet. So if your kid says, I can't do this, remind them you can't do this yet. It's just a matter of working through it and continuing and persevering, and then they can get it.
Like Mr. Braga said, we really appreciate your time, and we're always available. There's a variety of different ways. Hopefully you are a little bit more familiar now with some of the other ways. I will say the overwhelming majority of all of our students on campus have accepted that counseling Canvas invite from us. We have a very small handful that still need to accept it. So if you want to double check with your child to see if they have accepted, that would be a great way to stay connected with us. Obviously you see our emails there as well. So, please feel free to reach out if there's anything that is coming up that you would like to discuss with us.
And parents are observers in our Canvas also, if they want to see where the resources are.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We've posted this. We'll be looking out to do more guidance lessons in the future, but we look forward to talking to you guys and your kiddos again.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.